Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I welcome you all to the lecture number 6 of the course of Microprocessor Theory and Interfacing. My name is Engineer Jafar Ali and I am instructor for this course. So today's topic will be about addressing mode, but before starting that, let's do some recapitulation. In the last two lectures, actually, we have discussed about different instruction set that are used in the programming for your microprocessor of 8086. We have discussed about different specifications, that how what are the basic features and specifications of 8085A and 8086. And in 8086 we have discussed about more than 15 to 20 different codes of lines that you can use using an instruction set. And I have also given you an assignment to develop a code for about 10 to 15 lines. Let's see who have created that code in the class. So I just wanted to remind you that you have a assignment that you have to submit in 3 weeks, but now there are 2 weeks left for you. So I wish you all the best. If you have any doubts or any confusion, you can ask me directly on my WhatsApp or on my email as well. So let's start with another topic of 8086 microprocessor. This topic is known as addressing modes, and as the name shows that these are some kind of modes that you can use to address any data or any instruction or any address actually. So every section of a program has to operate on a data. You know that nothing in the microprocessor is performed without using an or operating a data. In the end or in the start, you only need a data to perform some kind of programming or to do some kind of work. So that is why you need to have some data, and to access the data there are several modes actually, and these modes are known as addressing modes. The different ways in which source operand is denoted in instruction are known as addressing mode, that how you can address that data using an instruction. This is known as addressing, and there are about 12 different kinds of addressing that we are learning in 8086. Except these 12, there are also a few addressing modes that have been developed, and inshallah I wish you all the best in the future that you are able to develop your own addressing mode. And if you do so such remarkable thing, please do mention me in credits as well, as this is my right to be an instructor. So let's start with the different kinds of addressing or different modes of addressing that you can use while using 8086 microprocessor. So the first So these addressing modes are specified or classified further into five groups. The group 1 is used for addressing modes for register and immediate data, that you have any incoming data that is real-time data, or you have stored some data in your registers A, B, C. The group 2 is actually addressing modes from memory data. If you have stored some external memory, of if you have interfaced to your microprocessor with any memory, so you can address using these commands of lines. The other group is basically addressing modes for input output ports. So if you have connected your device and you with any other components or memory storage devices, so how can you address the data from that is coming from ports, that is input port and output port. There are several ports in 8086 microprocessor. We have already discussed that topic in the specifications of or features of 8086 or 8085A. Then we have another mode that is known as relative addressing mode. We will look into that as well, and in the last we will discuss about the implied addressing mode. So we'll start with, or we'll kick off with the first one, that is register addressing. This is the first one, and this is very commonly used. This mode of addressing or accessing the data is very much common. So in this kind of addressing, the instruction will specify the name of the register which holds the data to be operated by the instruction. So as shown in the definition, or as in the shown in the diagram, you can see that there is an example given which can be much easy for you to understand. In such kind of addressing mode, that is register addressing mode, you can actually call the address of that register that has some data in it. So in this kind of addressing, you have directed the data to go into the this register. So you have accessed the register directly. This is your C register, and this L represents the low byte of this C register. You know that there is a high byte and there is a low byte of C. So you have moved this DH into the low byte of CL. So you can see the arrow that this data which was in hexa is now moved to CL, that is low byte of the register C. So you have addressed the using the instruction. You have addressed this location or this register using direct mode, or you can say direct addressing. This is known as register addressing actually. So you have addressed the register that you have to carry the data and you have to take it to the register. So this data will be stored in this register. So whatever register it is or whatever data it is, it will be directly taken to the register mentioned in the command. So this is basically known as register addressing. I repeat again, the content this content which will be mentioned in the instruction will be directly moved to the data or added to the data. It depends upon the operand, that which operand you are applying. So the operand here is the instruction here is move. So if you have moved the data, so this data will be directly moved into the register that is assigned or addressed. So you have addressed the register actually. That is why this is known as register addressing. And you can see the example over here that you can move these are your different registers, and this is your stack pointer and different pointers as well, and this is your different segments as well. I have discussed about the different segments, that what are these segments. So this is the diagram which you have to be concerned about. This is your registers, and you have to address the registers directly using this kind of addressing mode. So you can see that there is further explanation given to you in this slide as well. This is the move instruction basically, and this instruction basically, this is your source from which the data has to be shifted into the destination, and this is your destination. So you can see that you can copy a function or a word or a byte from a register or a memory location or any immediate number to a register or a memory location. So you have to have some source which is coming from immediate number, or that is from immediate ports, or it is stored somewhere in the register, or it can be any external memory as well. And you have to display that or move that command into the this kind of instruction. And you know that this destination cannot be kind of immediate memory, and you know that these both cannot be have the same size as well. We have discussed that this topic this point actually in the previous two lectures, that what does this line mean, that source and destination must be of same size, and cannot be it cannot be from both from the memory locations, because that will create a collision. And I have discussed very clearly in the class as well that what is this this statement means. So there is another example that you have to move your data. The syntax is provided to you actually, and this is known as a pseudocode. Whenever you heard about the pseudocode, that you have to write a pseudocode, it means that you have to write some kind of these statement. You can see that this is known as pseudocode, that you have you are not given with the data, and instead of data you are using temporary names or variables, and just to show your actual programming. So before writing a program, actually you have to, the first step to write a program is to write a pseudocode. That and the pseudocode is basically normal in your own words, that what do you want to achieve in this program. So the first step to write any program is to write a pseudocode. Pseudocode is a rough sketch of a code or a flow chart of a diagram, a flowchart of a code, that what do you want to achieve in this kind of coding. And the second step is basically you have to prepare the environment for the coding, and third step is basically the coding by itself. So do not rush to direct coding. First perform these two steps, that is writing a pseudocode for any given excuse me, for any given program. And the second step basically is to prepare the environment, installing the different libraries, or making your setup for the program, that which if the program is compatible with the code or not. So it will be much easy for you to go for the code in the third step. But if you rush directly onto the third step, I believe me guys, you won't be able to finish your program, because in the middle of the program you will know about that this program is not compatible to the tools that you are using, and you will have to write the whole program again with that tool again. And if you don't have the pseudo code, maybe you write a program and then you thought that you remember that you missed a point that was somewhere in the middle. So you will it will be very difficult for you to rechange or reprogram your code. So that is why I suggest most of my students to do the programming in the three steps. The first step, I repeat, is again the pseudocode, that write a pseudocode, that what do you want to achieve in one function or one program. The second step have to be you have to prepare your environment. Environment includes different softwares, their libraries, their tools that will be used in these are basically known as ingredients of the programming. So if you do not have a solid or enough ingredients, you won't be able to prepare a good dish. Similarly, if you won't have a good environment, or a good or efficient environment, or enough environment, or tools or libraries that are required to program your code, so you won't be finishing very good results. You will be leaving the code in the middle. So these steps need to be followed whenever you sit down to write a code. And I have also given you assignment as well, so these will be used for take notes, and this will help you definitely when you write the code as well for your assignment or any future programming or projects or semi projects or inshallah final year projects. So moving swiftly on, some other this you can see that this is known as mnemonic, this move, and this is the meaning of this mnemonic, and the format of this instruction is this. And what does it do? This basically shifts the data from the source to the destination that is mentioned over here. And the flags that are involved is no flags, that no flags will be affected when you run this command or this line or this instruction set. No flag will be affected. And there are some kind of sources and destinations. You can see that source can be accumulator, some memory, some register, some memory, some register, immediate and immediate. You can see that the only difference between source and destination is basically of this immediate. Source can get the data immediately from any input or output port, but the destination cannot carry the immediate data. So it means source is real time and this destination is not real time. So you have to save this immediate data to some temporary register or accumulator or an external memory, and then you have to move that into the destinations, because destination cannot have immediate data. So so it's not real time, but it can be done with some delay, because there will be some time taken to store this immediate data into the some register or accumulator and then displaying it to the destination. So this is a small difference, but it has impact a lot. It can be asked in your exam as well, or in your viva, or in your excuse me, any job interview or any further educational interview, that what kind of destination data can carry. So it cannot carry immediate data, it can carry some stored data that is already stored. So source can have both of all of these options. Source can have source can access the data directly from any input port output port, that is known as immediate data. Or source can use other memories used as for let's say accumulator or memory or any register, and source can actually use that data as well. So this is a small difference between the source and destinations. And you can see that this is immediate data, that you are immediately, the source is immediate directly to this this data is directly, or you can say immediately directed towards this register, that is AX. And you can see that this is the source, which is a register. You are carrying the data that is stored in the register AX, and you are shifting into the B of X. So you can see that the source can be immediate data or register or any other memory location, but the destination, I'll show you changing the color of the pen. So you can see that this destination cannot be immediate data. So you cannot adjust this data immediately onto the port. Let's say you have a computer, let's say you have a LCD that you want to display some pictures for. You cannot directly throw the data onto the LCD screen. The first step you need, if you are using this microprocessor, the first disadvantage is that you have to store that data, so it will be not real time. So you have to first store that data in some memory, let's say USB, and that USB should be plugged into this LCD. If you are using this kind of this 8086 microprocessor or any other processor that do not allow immediate data, so you won't be having real time images display. So this USB will be stored, the images will be stored in this USB, and then this USB, using this command move, will be showing the pictures or your snaps onto the LCD screen. So this is known as immediate data addressing, or you can say that register addressing mode. So you have to register, store the memory, store the pictures into a register, and by using this command move from source to destination, you can actually move the pictures from this USB, and you have to display that on your LCD screen. So there is another different examples that are mentioned over here. So what are some rules? Let's see. The rule number one for moving a value is that the value should not be too large that it will cause an error, because you know that every register has some maximum limits. So the maximum limit of BL is you know that this is basically 8 bits data. So if you want to store such a huge memory, this is basically beyond 8 bytes, because you know that this is the low byte of B. So if you want to store some data that is beyond the limit of this 8 bits, so you will have this kind of error that it is illegal to perform such kind of instructions. So this instruction will not be executed, and it will give you error that this data is larger than 8 bits. And this kind of error or warnings come when you do silly mistakes in coding. Let's say instead of dividing, you actually put a multiply to the exponent, or you similarly and the similar stuff. If you do such kind of mathematical mistakes, so you will be facing this kind of errors, that your data will be much larger as compared to the expected value, and it won't be able to save, this microprocessors will not be able to save that huge amount or large amount of data, or it will if you say that the data is about very large, so it will, and you have placed your commands in such a way that all the data will be concatenated one after another register. So you will see in the end that the data will be left and the registers will be full, all the registers with A, B and C. I will tell you about concatenation in my class. Do your homework. Concatenation, forgive me if I write the wrong spellings. Concatenation. So if any one of you guys come with this answer that what is concatenation, I will give him a bonus of +1. This is your first bonus for this class. So I will discuss this concatenation in detail in class as well. So if your data is too large, so you will be having some kind of issues that the upper data that will be coming first will be stored in the upper or all the registers that will be available, but the remaining data or that is coming after that data will not be able to be stored. So this data will be left outside and you will lose this data, and such error occurs when you try to download a file and half of the file is downloaded, and due to lack of space the other half won't download. So when you come after some time, you see that the files are downloaded, you get happy, but when you play the file in the middle of the file, the video or the audio gets stopped. So it means you have not received the complete file, so you have to download all the file again. You see that there is a huge loss for this. You have to download all the file, that is 1 GB or 5 GB. You have to download all of that again. So to how to make sure that your data is not larger than your destination, so I will give you some tips. The first tip is that always create some memory at least twice that you want to shift your data. For example, if you want to move a data of 1 GB, always create a space of at least 2 GB. This is the rule of thumb, you can say that this practice which is I always do, is that if you want to move any data or you want to copy any data, always go for that destination which have at least twice of the size. If you are downloading a 2 GB file, must make sure that you have the space of at least 4 GB in your drive. So this is the first step, and this will have you will be seeing a lot of benefits. Don't rush. If you are downloaded, you are going to download a 2 GB file and you just created 2 GB space and you start downloading. So trust me guys, it will definitely waste your time, because there are several reasons for which I am telling you that always create at least 2 times space that the file actually is. So this is the first tip that I have gave you. Okay, let's go to the next rule, that is rule number 2. Data cannot be moved directly into the non-segment register only. Values cannot be loaded directly into any segment registers. To load a value into a segment register, first you have to load it to the non-segment register and then you have to move it to segment register. We have discussed about the segment register and non-segment registers. The segment registers are that way from where you can actually segments into higher bytes and lower bytes. So and non-segment registers are those registers that are not specified, or that those registers cannot be segmented. So that is why you cannot move your data directly to the segment files. First you have to load it to the non-segment registers and then you have to move it to the segment registers, and this is the thing that I will also explain in the class. And but this thing is also related to the first point that I mentioned, that always create at least twice of the space from which you want to from where you want to at where you want to download your file. So keep that in mind too. We will discuss that in class inshallah, because it's a debatable topic, and the more you ask, the more you learn. The rule number 3 is basically a common point, that if a value is less than double f, so it is moved to a 16-bit register, so the rest of the bits will be assumed 0. So if you have moved the value double f and you have completed your data and there are some memory segments that are left, so obviously they will be termed 0 by default. So it is very common point, and I do not think that this point needs any kind of discussion. I hope that you are I have discussed these, that you have, this is known as dummy bits. You see that these are dummy bits. These is known as dummy bits. Keep that in mind. This is the technical name, or you can say more appropriate name for such kind of bits that do not have any impact, but they comes only to fulfill the space that is left, to make sure that the byte is complete, or the bit is complete, or the nibble is complete, or any register is complete. So you cannot have only one into a register and these are all empty, so you have to put these zeros along with the to complete the register. You see that I have to complete the 8 bits, so I have to put 7 zeros in here, so this will be a 1 byte. This is, and the purpose we do this kind of dummy bits allocation is that if you want to process a data, so if you have initialized or declared that there will be bytes coming, so if you have to transmit a byte, or and you transmit this only one bit, so the register will not be having a clear idea that because you have already declared that you will send bytes, and then if you send one bit just to store this, or you can say save this energy that is used to transmit these points as well, these 0 bits. So if you do such kind of in energy saving, so you will be in trouble because you have declared that the size of the register will be of 8 bits. So always remember that put all zeros where you do not want to have some value, so that the declaration process be verified. So another addressing modes that we have talk about is basically addressing modes, and in this mode, this is known as immediate addressing modes. In this kind of modes, the data is addressed immediately. So you can see that you have to address the data immediately. So you can see that you have directly access addressed the data, that u data go to there and u data go to there. So you see that you have addressed to the register to the data directly in this kind of addressing modes. And 8-bit or 16-bit data is specified as a part of instructions. So whenever you see that such kind of instructions, you see that this is kind of immediate addressing. In the previous example, by mistake I told about immediate addressing, but in register addressing that we discussed earlier, this thing will be either a data or immediate data or a data from memory or any registers. So specifically if there is data, so this is known as immediate addressing. You have immediately addressed about the data, that you have addressed any data that is a form of hexa, and you have directed this data to go somewhere, or to go and add somewhere, or any stuff. You can do any instruction operation or any operand. You can use any mnemonic to manipulate your data, but this data should be in this form, not in the stored some addressed or memory or any register. So you have to address the data directly instead of addressing the register that is has that data. So this 8-bit, you can see that given the instruction is moved to the DL, that is the low byte of D register, and similarly this data is basically addressed to move towards AX, and this data in hexa will be moved in the AX. The diagram is shown over here, so you can see that this data will be directly going to this A register, that is AX. Similarly, this 8-bit of data will go towards directly the low byte of D link D register. So this will be stored in here. And all, if you want to operate some kind of register operation, you are doing some register operations, so you have to put all these zeros over the high byte to complete the register. If you are not given any data for the high register as well, so you have to put all zeros before performing any operation on the register. This should be kept in mind, and I will ask you definitely, not me but mostly people ask that complete if you have a register, that is incomplete. Do you want to do you have do you can you operate that register or that byte? So you cannot operate that register or byte, because you have to put some dummy bits in that remaining slots before actually operating it. So this is the third type of addressing, and this is known as direct addressing. And this is the effective address of the memory. Here is the effective address of the memory, a location at which the data is operand is stored. In the given example, let's see, this is known as direct addressing. And in this kind of addressing, this is a term that is known as effective address. So the effective address of the memory location at which the data operand is stored is given into the instruction. So this kind of addressing is known as a direct addressing. So you see that this move bx, and this is the direct addressing where you use these brackets. So this is square brackets around this 1354 denotes that the contents of the memory location. So you ask the excuse me so you ask the so you have to give the information about the a specific location into a given register. For let's say if you have this big register, this joint register, and you only want to address this data which is stored in these bits, so you have to put some brackets and the information about the content of that register that go from the memory location this side towards this side. So you can see that this is more clear to you now, that you have to dig in deep. So that is why you can there is where you can use direct addressing, where you use some kind of brackets to specify the contents of the memory location. That you do not want to carry all the data that's stored in the register. You only want to have some bits or some byte in a register or enable register. So you can also do that. You can take out some memory using these brackets, and you can store that little byte or some bits into another register. So this kind of addressing is known as direct addressing. So another mode is basically register indirect addressing, and in this kind of addressing you do the reverse process, but instead of providing the contents of the register, you actually provide to the effective address. So for this addressing, registers registers are used to hold the effective address that is EA or any of the following register, that is BX, BP, DI, and SI. And then the content of this DS register, this is that is a data segment register. We have discussed about what is data segment, and that is the content of that register is then used for the base address calculation. So you can see that the data from this base address calculation will be shifted to the CX. So that's all for today now. I hope that you have some good questions in your mind, and I trust you guys that you will ask me that question. So write that questions down onto your paper, and let me know in the class. Inshallah, we will discuss about your questions and queries. I will be answering your queries as well. So if you have any questions, please make sure that you ask me in the class, because you know that the more you ask, the more you learn. So that's all for today now. Please, I am reminding you again to complete your assignment as soon as possible, because it will be much beneficial for you as we are heading forward. So you won't be lagging behind. I want you to go in parallel with me. Do not lag behind. And if you have any queries or questions, you can also, and you do not have or you cannot attend the class due to any reason, or internet connectivity, or any commitments that are more important than the class. So you have to ask that questions on the portal, or you can email me as well. I have mentioned my email in every slide, and the reason is the same, because I want your questions to be answered So I will look forward to your some good questions. Thank you very much for listening. I'll see you in the class. Till then, Allah Hafiz.